Hello, guys.
Hey, how
Hi,
you doing?
we're here. We're here.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. Let me have your videos.
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
Hi, Willem.
That's
How you doing, Ekene?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Wow. I'm happy to have you all here.
Nice.
Hello,
It's
Namy.
nice to be here.
Namy is
Yeah,
not.
Walter, you're on mute.
What?
Yeah, Walter's on mute.
Oh,
now just making sure I don't have all the background noise.
okay.
With my kids here. You guys close the door.
That's a good dad. You get in
Yeah.
line, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Wow.
Okay.
A brother
Nice
from
meeting, Walter.
yeah.
Now, pleasure to meet you too, my brother. Let me just see if I can get onto participants just to see. That's Willem. Oh, Willem.
Yes.
Willem. Yeah, Willem
Yes.
Gous. Nice.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Don't worry. Everybody will introduce
You can just refer to
themselves.
me as William, and when I speak in Scotland, I always go Bill.
Ah, yeah. Bill's easy. Bill's easy. Very easy. Great stuff.
Yeah. We're waiting for our brother from Ghana, Fidel. Let me see.
I don't know. I think
Willem,
Ghana's well
but-
connected. Yes, Walter.
No, I was just gonna ask, and I remembered. No, that's Scottish. Now you got me. I'm stuck. I'm done. I actually forgot for a moment. You know, Willem is a name also that's used. Willem or William is popular in South Africa as well. So amongst so I thought you were.
Yeah,
just
he's
Typical Dutchman.
he's from South Africa. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're from South Africa.
He's South African.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm in Johannesburg.
Oh, you're in Johannesburg right now. Tell me
Yeah.
how it's going with the power shortages. How are you handling this right now?
Well, as you could see, our president blessed me with power tonight. But we have permanent
man.
load shedding for the next 2 years. So
That is so
on the low
depressing.
end,
That is
we
horrible.
have without power for 5 hours. On the heavy
You know-
side, without 11.5 hours a day. And it's I don't want to swear. What's the strongest word? It is completely decimating the
See,
little bit of
see,
economy that's left.
your brother Walter, he's a reverend. So when you swear, he wouldn't like that.
No. I do my training in some churches. So sometimes I do my
fine.
training in churches.
Nah,
So then
don't
I go
worry,
like,
Willem.
goody
It
gumdrops.
seems our sister Namy is having trouble because
it's
she
fine.
comes
She's coming
on.
in and out.
Yes,
I
yes.
think she feels indecisive.
Yes, and somehow
should I
her
join? Should I
video
not
doesn't
join?
come on. You know.
Yeah, but I see, Walter, you wrote a book
Yes.
about prosperity from a biblical perspective. That's nice.
Yeah,
I
I
like
did.
that. I need to look into that because,
Yeah, I got a few links. Yeah, I'll be able to share them. Let me see if I can. Actually, for the purpose of this meeting, let me do a double connection. That okay? Ekene?
No,
I can
we
do a
don't
double-
want more than scheduled. You know.
yeah.
No,
One
no, what I
Walter is
mean
enough.
is- No, no. What I mean is 2 connections, so that I'm actually looking at the screen from this side as well. But I get you. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I don't know.
Are you on your mobile phone, Walter?
Yeah, I'm on my mobile phone, and then
Okay.
I've got my laptop.
Your laptop.
nearby.
See, why don't you connect with your laptop?
The challenge I have with the laptop is
Okay.
that the camera is not that good.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah,
I
so
get it.
this gives me a far better camera
Yeah, see,
angle.
I have a
and everything.
studio
Yeah.
set up. This is an actual.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I noticed. So neat.
Good
Actually, what I
background.
normally do, the place I normally work from, Ekene knows, I have my bookshelf there. There's a proper place I do it from. But this is evening. I've got small kids, and telling them to be quiet for 2.5 hours is a mission of impossible.
All that you need now is a
magnitude,
cigar
so-
and a glass of wine, and that's it.
Yeah, it won't work.
Oh man.
I've got some cigars here. Maybe I should
I'm
light
in my
up.
bedroom.
That would be a
lights up.
good
Go
one.
for it. Go for it. Go for it. Cigars, eh? That's cool. Nah, no worries.
Have a nice
good.
Cuban while we're talking about Africa.
Correct.
Yeah.
And speaking, going back to the load shedding, 2 years.
Yeah, they said permanent load shedding for 2 years. And
so how do they do? Do they phase it for you guys? You have a timetable, level 1, level 2.
So we all have an app. I shit you not. We have an app that tells you when you're getting load shedded. And this app is actually listed. Yeah, no, so the app tells me tonight, 10 o'clock, I'm getting shedded until 12:30. Tomorrow morning from 4 till 6:30, and tomorrow evening from 8 o'clock.
But it does, but it gives they're accurate. They really follow the schedule, don't they?
But like this afternoon, ESCOM went like, we're putting you in stage 4 now, 2 hours earlier, and 2 o'clock this afternoon. They just, and an interesting thing, a friend of mine is a confectionery chef and baker. Now, they bake, they have cakes in the oven, and then
and then this thing just goes.
And they're running 3 ovens at the same time. And the thing is, if you look at Woolworths and Checkers and all those big chains.
Yeah, they also have a lot of those. Yeah.
No, but they run generators. So the funny thing is, when you drive past a shopping center, they will have big signs outside. We have generators. So it's a value proposition. And I think Woolworths spent 15 million on diesel this year so far.
Willem, you are lucky. Okay, I'm saying this as a Nigerian. The last time Nigeria, our cities have had constant power was when I was about 6, 7.
No.
Now, listen. Now I'm 50. Okay. See, the last time we had constant power was when I was 6 or 7.
Meaning 1977 or thereabouts.
Yes. No. 1980.
Yeah, 1980. Yeah. Unreal. You know, that's why, I'll tell you something. Ekene, Willem, same as well. I'm 51. Ekene, Willem, and myself. You know what? When we as Zambia started griping about the power, we went into an unscheduled load shedding recently. It was not there. The president went and launched this new power plant, and he stood there majestically and said, load shedding is of the thing of the past. And then just after he said that, literally within 2 months, we had load shedding. So people were really pissed off. And then as we were pissed off, then we heard what's going on in South Africa.
And you were like, there's nothing that makes you feel better than comparing.
South Africa load shedding started in 2006 because I was there. I was in Johannesburg then. I was there on a project. That was when it started. And
shame.
But I think we should change the language around it. It's not load shedding. It's scheduled blackouts.
Okay.
Let's call it what it is. The scheduled
blackout. Okay.
And it's not load shedding is the political correct term. I don't know. Do you know the definition of political correctness?
Yes.
It is the theory that a turd has a clean side from which you can pick it up from.
That's it. Agreed. So that's the term. And I was actually heartbroken. I follow current affairs. I don't watch any news. Ekene knows this. I just don't. But I follow current affairs. So when your ESCOM chief went on I can't remember what program that was recently.
EWN.
With his tell-all, my jaw literally dropped to the ground. I knew things were bad in SA. I knew they were bad. I knew the ANC is pretty much, effed up everything going on over there. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, no need to sugarcoat it. It's just what it is. Yeah. But when he said what he said, I was dumbstruck. I didn't know the extent of the corruption. I mean, what really was heartbreaking is to hear that there are groups and mafia going around literally sabotaging ESCOM installations in order to sustain delivery of diesel and power through generators so they make money. So there's ESCOM.
They learned from Nigeria. Okay.
No.
Yeah, true.
Our power stations hasn't worked for decades now because some people are making money from generators and fuel. Okay.
And here's the thing, Ekene, to sort that problem out. And here's the thing is, what shocked me most is that the ANC voted that they will not launch an investigation into corruption.
Ooh.
And I go like, nay, okay. But here's the thing again is you need a strong leader.
Yep.
And the problem is, you know, a good friend of mine, I love him to bits. And he's very much into, and I like Taoism in be like water, you know, flow like water. That's a very good, and I teach that in the townships where I work, and it's amazing how philosophy connects with these young people. And it's just flow with things. But one thing that I found, a great leader is very divisive. It's not a unifying force, it's a divisive force. Because in a world of jellies, you become a brick and you go like, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And this is what we need to fix. And that's when the shit hits the fan. And it's very difficult. And in order to sort what you're facing in Nigeria and as well here, is strong leadership with backbone, balls the size of elephants.
Yep.
And to take shots. And they need to be in office for at least 2 terms.
2 terms, agreed.
2 terms. And that's the thing is, and one thing that I've learned comparing leadership in Africa to leadership in first world countries, all politicians milk the cow. It's
they do.
Standard.
It's a standard.
They all milk the cow.
Yeah, that's politics.
The problem with leadership in Africa compared to leadership in the first world. In the first world, they feed the cow and they milk the cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We milk the cow, but we go like, no,
don't feed
I'm
it.
not feeding this cow. And when the cow dies, we go to the IMF. I want a new cow. And when they kill that cow, they go to the Arab nations. I want a new cow. And
Willem,
that needs to be stopped.
Your 1 minute, would I say rant? I would produce a shot from it because what you just said now, it's very, very important that we need to actually start looking at these things and start talking about them.
No, and it's we need proper leadership, and that's the
hello, you're here.
If you look at all the great leaders, they were very divisive because they stood their ground.
Yeah,
they said this is it.
Yeah,
true that.
And I think from Walter, you're a reverend. That's very much as well as a biblical thing as well. You go like, this is it. This is the boundaries. And we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, because people are for votes, T-shirts and votes.
Well, guys, let's start. Like I told you guys in my email, today is my second daughter's 16th birthday. So
nice.
Once I'm done with this, I need to see her. Probably take her dinner. Okay, so let's start. Yes, guys, thank you for being here today. Now, for those who won't watch it but listen, I need to say exactly what we're doing now on the Think Big for Africa podcast. This is going to be the first panel discussion. All right, so where I bring a few people together to discuss it's a topic we think is important for Africa. Now, for today, we're going to discuss the most important issues holding Africa back. Now, this is a little bit controversial because every one of us probably have a different set of lists, you know. Now, what we'll do is from the beginning, everyone will share what they have on the list, and then we'll agree on the top 5 to discuss on this podcast, because we can't possibly discuss everything. Okay, so one thing I've seen, actually the reason why I decided to start doing this panel discussions is that even though I love my one-on-one discussions, which will continue, I don't hold on. So I want us to, on this first panel discussion, we need to have a little rules to allow everybody to share their opinion on the matter. So like I said, each of us will read the things we have on our list, and we'll agree on what to discuss. And during the discussion, at every new topic, everyone will have about 3 minutes to say what they think about it, and then we'll go around questioning and debating our views. Okay, all right. So now should I start by sharing my list? What do you guys think?
Actually, not. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
What I want to suggest is, because especially people listening in, your listeners don't know all of us. So
yes.
I think maybe
of course. Sorry about
30
that.
seconds.
Yes.
Who are we?
Yes,
where do we come from?
I think that very
might
right.
set the context. Thank you.
Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I just forgot. So Willem, start. You, Willem.
Hi, I'm Willem Gous from Johannesburg, South Africa. I run a company called The Human Entrepreneur, and we developed a recipe for job creation. So we go into townships here in South Africa. We take unemployed people, we get them to start a business without any funding in 5 weeks, and the business makes enough money to financially sustain themselves. So we've reduced the time of job creation to 5 weeks and the cost by about 10 times, making it affordable for Africa and other developing economies. And what makes a difference is we can do this at scale. We can create hundreds, even thousands of these entrepreneurs per month. So we can truly address the unemployment crisis in Africa and other developing economies. That's me, Willem Gous. Check out thehumanentrepreneur.org.
All right. Now, my sister, Namy, go.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Hi. Yeah, sorry again. My connection was really playing up. That's why I'm a little bit late.
Yeah.
I'm in Ivory Coast, so I've been here for the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not in the UK.
I forgot. I thought we were in Scotland. Oh.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm Namy Bak Sudjic. I'm the president founder of Ivorian Foundation. It's a charitable organization, an NGO that help here in Ivory Coast with schooling in villages, making sure that we find social resources for different villages, school, education, health, and entrepreneurship as well, and trying to do some formation for the youth to go back to farming as well. So all those kind of things, that's why I'm here actually, and I'm organizing the athletics game of Ivory Coast. So we're bringing all the region together, all the 65 different tribes to work together, so like we can be united at once. So this is a project that I'm working on at the moment. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Reverend Walter Mwambazi, you're next.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I am having a bit of a problem with my internet.
Oh, well, typical Africa. I know, me too.
You know what I mean? I deeply apologize, but it's great meeting all of you. In a nutshell, I am, of course, a pastor, a reverend. You know about that, but that part is just one facet of me. But at the core, my DNA is communication. So all things related to communication. So I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a coach, a facilitator, orator, blogger, social influencer, that's a new term now, and all the above. So working with different groups in different places. But if I had to go a bit into our local colloquial, as in my hat as a pastor, I'm what you call a marketplace apostle. So my work is in the marketplace. We take what we do, which is propagate the kingdom of God, but then do that from the marketplace. So we live in very strange times. I know Ekene, my brother, has his own views when it comes to things of faith, but I can't avoid mentioning that bit. But I'm very conversant and cognizant with some of the challenges we're facing as Africans, and I have raised some extremely, how can I put it, provocative ideas around how this is going to be done. It's actually gotten me ostracized, Ekene. I've been branded and labeled in a way, but it's okay. As long as at core I know I'm serving the master, so we're good.
All right. Now, of course, I'm the host, Ekene Banye. I'm a coach and an educator. That's me. Now, let's go straight to the things we think are important and are holding Africa back. Now, should I start, or do any of you want to start?
It's your podcast.
Okay. Now, let me just go.
I can start.
Okay. You can start. But let me start.
Okay, you start.
I would like to start. Now, for me, I have Africa's diversity, leadership, failure to adopt and implement meritocracy. Yeah. Yes. Loss of valuable talents. Okay. People doing what we call in Nigeria jackpot, or running away to Europe. Impact of our geography, okay, culture and religion, the impact of colonialism, lack of personal responsibility, and insecurity. So that's my 10. Okay. Who wants to go next?
Great. Can I jump in next?
Yeah, do that. All right, let's go.
Okay, so for me, from the least to the most impactful, and straight out of my book. I don't even have to work hard on this one, just straight out of my book. At number 5, in other words, this is the 5th most critical factor leading to our problems we see today, is poor governance. You have hinted on that, Ekene, very, very true. And poor governance has all manner of side effects, including brain drain or the talent flight, that amongst many. Then at number 4 is weak institutions. Now, these two kind of go hand in hand, right? Like where there's poor governance, you're going to have weak institutions. Where you have weak institutions, you're going to have poor governance. So they kind of like work together in terms of developmental studies. And weak institutions basically means there's no level playing field. So you end up with extremely powerful people and the concentration of wealth and prosperity in that small group, because the institutions that are supposed to look out for the weakest parties, which is the people, the lowest denomination in that equation, just doesn't work. So it's all about who you know, the connections, the cliques, and who you belong to. So these two then work together like cousins to really create chaos as far as things go. Then number 3, again, I also pick from you, geography. My view on geography is taken straight off 2 great individuals, Thomas Sowell and Jared Diamond. Sorry, Jared, if the name is gone. Anyway, so the idea is that when you have these two, weak institutions and poor governance, it then culminates in geography becoming an intensifier. So where there's minerals, where there's wealth of natural nature, it all ends up in the hands of that small group, and things get worse. But where things are good, then it's better. But unfortunately,
I think God is silencing him.
No, I think we should have started with poor infrastructure and then internet, and
yeah,
because that's
I think Namy,
that's what's killing us.
Yeah. I think Namy, why don't you start with your list while we're waiting for the
Namy, go.
Well, for me, yes, there's so many. Oh, geez, I don't even know where to start. But I think the most, as a solution for me, because we can go on about why.
Yeah,
why.
we'll get there.
Why.
We'll get
Like,
there. But first,
we all know what's going on. You know, bad leadership, bad management. You know, selfishness, greediness, and all those things like that. Why don't we talk about togetherness? Why don't we talk about unity in Africa? Because that's the problem. We're not united. So we can do all those things. It's not gonna take us anywhere. We need to start to be united first.
Yes, we'll get there.
That's what we should talk about. How we get all African to be united, to be one.
Yes, we'll get there. Now, Walter's back. Walter. Yes, you were on your list. Can you just finish it?
He's looking for the mute. I think we're losing him again. Well, yeah. So Namy, I think definitely infrastructure is one of those. Definitely. Yeah. Walter's back. Walter, welcome.
Are you back?
I am. I've got two different connections now. Welcome to Africa. Okay. So anyway, I know she was explaining, so I don't know. Let me just keep quiet, just in case. I don't want to interrupt.
No. You just finish yours, and then we'll go back to her.
Okay, great stuff. All right, so let me just reduce the volume on this one. Apologies. That's the other reason for the two laptops. I'm the two connections. Anyway, so that was geography. And then number two is culture. Now, for me, culture is massive. And there's so many reasons around culture. But you see, what you have to understand is the culture is a result of number one, which for me is religion. And I know as a clergyman, as a pastor, that always raises a lot of dust. Like, why the heck are you? No, but it's a fact. I mean, I hate religion. I do not subscribe to it at all. And yes, I'm a reverend, yes, but I'm a kingdom advocate. Big difference. And I'm not going to go into explaining what that is. But just know that for me, religion is what creates the core beliefs that then lead to whatever you see. And if whatever we see is a mess, it is attributed to the belief system. So in NLP, we're taught three very powerful things, and I'm sure we'll go into them. And they are simply, number one, raise your standard. Number two, change your beliefs. Number three, change your strategy. The beliefs play a massive role to get us where we are now. That's the heart. That's the core.
Okay. Now, Namy. Yeah. So, do you actually have a list, or you just want to, or you just want us to do the list and then we all talk about them?
You guys can go on to your list, no problem. Okay. For me, we're past that, to be honest.
Okay. So Willem, let's go. I know you have a list.
Yes, I have 9. Number 1 is leadership.
Okay.
Keep in mind that my list is very much slanted towards entrepreneurship, and my work focuses at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay. Learned helplessness. The belief that people can't help themselves. That is a major issue. Matter of fact, incorrect entrepreneurial development programs. What I see in that is we're developing small businesses instead of micro businesses. And then mindset. We have a victimhood mindset. Someone needs to save me. It's always the government or something else.
Yep.
Reverend, here's a nice one for you. Religion and the relationship with money. People are scared of money. They're scared of wealth, but they watch rap videos the whole day. So they want a nice car, and it leads to an internal conflict.
Yes.
Another interesting thing that I discussed with a client of mine who does a lot of work in West Africa, and it's a race to the bottom that I think is keeping people stuck. What I mean by that is everywhere, if you look at, we need to make a cheap smartphone for Africa. We need to make a cheap laptop for Africa. And we're trying to make things cheaper for poor people to afford. And I think that's the wrong way around it. Instead of uplifting the poor to afford the services that are already there. So it's about giving people access to new services while keeping them poor. And I think we need to move past that. Looking at first world economies for solutions and instead of using our own. And I think Africa has all the makings of solving our own shit. Problems, sorry, Ekene, apologies.
Not me.
And we're not talking to each other, and that's the cultural issue. We're looking, and especially, Reverend, you addressed the thing with the religion. Religion causes an us and them situation. In many situations, not always. Okay. Then high barriers to entry for entrepreneurs. You know, in Rwanda, it doesn't cost you a cent to start a business, but in Eswatini, you need a trading license of 6,500 rand, which is about $400 US, which is a ton of money. And then lastly, something that's really close to my heart because I'm a single father with a son of 13 years old, and it's the boy-man crisis that we have. Men are falling behind. We're not getting the support. There's no support for them. And nobody's paying attention to that. And that is a major issue. If we don't have strong men, we can't build the strong economies.
I agree.
That's right.
I agreed. Wow.
Cool. Okay. That's me.
Okay.
Powerful. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, we have a few things that we all agree in common. Leadership, religion. I also have victimhood and culture, but I put my culture together with religion, so I put them in the same bracket. Okay, like Walter said, they are one and two. Okay, they go together. Okay, so let's do religion and culture together. Right now, Namy mentioned that we are not united. Exactly, that's why I say African diversity. Okay, because to me, it's our diversity that stops us to be united the way you want. All right. See, Africa is the most diverse continent in the world. Okay. We have over 3,000 tribes and languages. It's difficult to unite. Right.
Why?
So if we don't deal, Namy, if you understand history, you understand why.
Yeah, I understand history.
That's right.
Good. So it's difficult to unite people who don't have similar language, similar culture. Okay, it's difficult. So until we actually look at these things and dissect it and say, okay, these are our differences. So let's do this to allow us to unite. Until we do that, we can shout about it from today to tomorrow. We can do it. Okay. So what I'm saying is this: there's several things in common. So let's pick those things and discuss them. Okay. At least religion is there.
Well, I don't think because we have so many different languages, that's why we're not.
No,
I'm sorry.
Namy,
to be united, you
let's
just
get there.
need respect and forgiveness, understanding, and love. You don't need to understand your neighbor to be united with him, to work with him.
Namy,
you don't need to always try to show the differences. Oh, your language is this, because this is every time we bring that up. Oh, it's because we have this so many languages, that's why we cannot get together, whatever. No, I'm sorry. I think it's depend of the level of consciousness, about the level of the way we see each other, the way we see human being.
Okay, so and also education. Yeah, do we agree that education is a fundamental issue, guys?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So education, leadership, culture, religion, yeah, diversity.
Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely. Willem,
yes.
You talk about a lot of things about entrepreneurship. So let's pick that as a core subject. Okay, in there we talk about as many of the differences. Okay, in there, do you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. So the diversity, leadership, religion and culture, education, and entrepreneurship. Do you agree?
Yep.
Okay. So let's start. So let's see. Let's start with leadership. All right. So who wants to have a go at it? Reverend?
Okay. Well, I mean, without doubt, leadership is a very, very critical issue. I mean, there's so many tenets around leadership that are so critical. And when properly understood, they really make a difference. But one of the things that that has always been a perennial kind of like discussion and argument, for which I think Willem can kind of jump in and pick it up further, is whether leadership is born or made. There's a very big, interesting argument around that. But one statement, and I think I pick it off Willem's last point, which I'm a very passionate person about, the whole boy-child crisis, the man crisis, which, by the way, if we want to understand what man crisis is, just look to the United States, to our fellow African brothers who from the 1940s became, no, in fact, from the early 1900s, became a deliberate attack target of social engineering. And you see where they've gotten to today because of what they've done to the man. But I won't go into that. Let's go back to leadership.
No, let's go there.
Oh, okay, okay, great.
Oh,
great.
yes, it's important.
Oh, great. No, absolutely.
That's leadership at home that you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, because take the man out of the equation and you destroy the society. Now, I want to pick a statement, Willem, you made, which I loved. I just want to kind of draw it right through. It was quoted off the writer of Dune. I'm a bit of a reader and a bit of a movie watcher. So the original writer of Dune, I think Frank Herbert, is attributed as the owner of this statement, but that's highly arguable, but it's become a statement, it's a popular statement. It says, and I quote, "Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times, and bad times create strong men." So that is the perennial cycle. And if you note, you will see that basically with the advent of the Industrial Revolution, which then led to the last age, the 20th century, and all its developments and all its movements and all the big things that developed in the 20th century leading to the information age, life has become relatively easier. And that easiness of life has had a detrimental effect on the quality and type of men we have raised. You know very well, everyone will agree here, that war and bad times create very, very strong leaders. And that strong leadership, adversity, that strong leadership is what leads to very powerful communities. I mean, Singapore is a great example when we want to exemplify that. Japan, phenomenal example because of what happened in World War II and how they were totally wiped out. Germany, same story. The effects of the sanctions that they suffered from World War I right through the League of Nations turned them into the monster they became, but at the same time, past World War II, look at who Germany became. And every great nation has a similar story. And so, in a way, Africa suffers a leadership crisis because ours, and I dare say this, is a borrowed leadership. What do I mean by that? I mean that before the advent of colonialism, we had a system, a process by which governance took place. Very well balanced. Yes, there were slaves being handed over. Yes, there was all kinds of things going on. But in essentially, society and its fabric was very intact. But when colonialism came in, and as colonialism exited, they pretty much booby-trapped the African leadership system. I'm sorry to say that, and I know I'll be shot and accused of blame, but I look every day, and Willem, I'm going to apologize deeply in advance, but I'm just going to throw a spanner in the works, and I want you to kind of rebut this. I want to use South Africa as an example, because South Africa is almost becoming a, what do you call a country that's a pariah? A pariah, yes. South Africa is almost becoming a pariah, not in terms of a rejected state, but they are proving everything we don't like to say about African leadership. It's so depressing. Now, let me explain very quickly and then throw this back to you. I'm sorry for dragging this. But look at South Africa. You have the whole of Africa rallying together to fight for South Africa's independence and to move them away from apartheid, which thankfully happened. As the NP and the Boer government was exiting, what did? They handed this over in a transitional process to Mandela. Mandela takes over and he grooms and raises a man who I consider the best president South Africa has ever had, and that's Mandela. I mean, what's his name? Mbeki.
Yeah.
Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki.
Mbeki, yeah.
Then I believe with all my heart that someone sabotaged that process from within so that Mbeki is thrown aside and they go for who they like, which is Zuma. I am not in any way here to judge Zuma as a person, but we can judge him by what we see, his results, his work.
I think his actions speak volumes.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And look at what that led to. And okay. So what I'm saying, yeah, okay, so anyway, I'm almost done. But what I'm saying in short is that South Africa now is at a place where I don't like to admit, but they're going exactly where Zimbabwe went. And if they continue in that trajectory, I assure you, in the next 15 to 30 years, they will be exactly like Zimbabwe. They will be exactly like Nigeria. There'll be no difference. And that's really sad, because this is a country that was taken over by the ANC, the beloved ANC, who we all supported and who we all believed in and who we believed had what it takes. And I think that's the enigma right there. So let me just pause there so that others can continue.
Willem.
Yes. Sir.
Willem. So your take on leadership.
Okay, cool. And I want to add to what Namy is quite passionate about, and thank you for hammering on that. No, it's I didn't know you bringing 65 tribes together. You know, mic drop moment to you. But God, it's like having 65 in-laws for Christmas lunch. I am going to serve a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I
that's
think
my mission. Yeah.
The challenge that we face, that I see in the messaging out there, when it comes to people and leadership, and it builds towards leadership, everywhere we go, we're being taught we're the same. We're exactly the same. We're all just the same. And I'm like, no,
we're not.
Yeah. We're not. If you look at how I parent, how the Reverend parents, how Namy parents, how Ekene parents, it's not the same thing. And here's the thing. You look at this bottle, you see a rectangle. You look at it from this side. You look at it from this side, you see a circle. We're looking at the same bloody thing. But this guy goes, like, but it is a circle. This guy, it is. And because the messaging says we're the same. And we're not. And that's where the power of diversity lies. And I do that in my classroom. I get moms mechanics, teenagers, old guys from all races and every culture to work together, because they recognize that they're not different, and it's a good thing. And it's a good thing. And that's the thing that we need to take a look at it, is that stop this messaging of we're the same. We're not.
Yeah, why
and
not?
That's good.
Yeah.
Men and women are different. And that's a compliment. We're supposed to complement each other. But currently we're being set up as we're competitors. My wife must compete with me, and I must compete
against each other. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not it. And that leads to the instability that we have. But that brings us again to the world that we face. Like I said earlier, it's as if you have to be everything to everybody at the same time. I see it's like trying to juggle jelly. And it's impossible. And in a world of jellies, you need to be a brick and go like, no. And just like this background that I have behind me, which is of a brick wall, that's how you build a future. By becoming a brick, and then somebody else says, I agree with that. And will it create divisiveness? Absolutely. But that's where the conversation starts. Because the quality of your life and your future is determined by the quality of the questions. In the current environment, it doesn't lead to questions, it leads to accusations. And that's the problem. And our leaders are out there trying to juggle jelly, trying to be everything to everybody. And you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an absolute contrarian. People fear when I go to events. They're like, oh, he's going to say something. And I go like, yeah, I'm here. Hold my beer. Yeah. I'm going to say, because I'm not afraid to take the shots.
Yeah. Thank you. That's happening.
And Namy, what you're doing there is you standing up and getting, listen, guys, I have this flag. We're going to fly it. We're going to do this event. And we're going to play together. Yeah. Literally and figuratively. Yeah.
And with traditional games and everything that before
that's
they couldn't even imagine, but we're going to do
it. But then you look at my country, the xenophobia is through the roof. I would not like to be a foreigner in South Africa. I wouldn't walk at night. I wouldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
It's insane because people see it as a competition. And here's the thing is, also, when it comes to our differences, people go like, but he does this better than me. All our spaza shops are run by these people. Yeah, because they do it better than you. Yeah, but that's unfair. No, dude, he just paid attention. It's time for you to pay attention as well.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to personal responsibility. Because let's be honest, ladies and gents, the problems that Africa has, it doesn't matter what government we put in at the current time. The problem is too big for anybody to solve. The solution will come not from the upper class, not from in the middle. It has to come from the bottom.
Yeah.
It has to come from the people itself.
Yeah.
And that's where I think leadership, we've been looking for leaders at the top for a long time and we can't find them.
Oh my God, that's what you just said. That's what we're trying to do here in Ivory Coast.
And we need to start leadership in the life of Africans. And when you can lead in your life, you can lead in your home. Doesn't matter if you're a father or a mother. And when we lead at home, I can lead in my community.
In my community,
and then I can
go
start
around like a
and that's the thing.
That's what we're doing here.
That's where we're going to start building leaders. We're not going to find them at the top. We need to go to the bottom.
Yeah.
And they're there.
Yeah. That's why my government are supporting my idea, because when I first came and I tried to expand the same way you did, they were like, oh, they know, those chief of villages, they're not going to listen to us. Okay, give me the shot. Give me the permission to go everywhere. They were like, okay, you have permission. And I start going to every single department first. We have Sheffield department, Sheffield religion, and everything like that. And I go there, start with the people, start with the chef, and speak about myself. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what the problem we are. We haven't been able to do this in the past 10 years because we had a war. And it was really difficult back then. And it was division is like that, political party, religion, and everything like that. You can imagine. And I'm like, we're not talking about religion. We're not going to talk about politics. We're just going to talk about us as human. What will make us happy before, what we used to do before. And people are like, oh, we used to have this. We have alliance between tribes. We have those things. We had those games between tribes. We had all those. And I start documenting everything and start putting everything together and going to villages, to villages, everybody looking forward for that game. It will be in July and 28th of July to 30th. Every single department will be represented with their tradition, with their dust. Everyone will be seen and heard. Everyone.
Okay.
Well done
And
on that.
after that, now we can now start to discuss about, okay, start to understanding about politics, about economy, because you have to go back to the roof. Otherwise, if always politics want to do things and things that people don't even want to listen to them anymore. You need somebody to say, okay, let's start all over again. And after that, we start talking about social issue. What's going on in your villages? Why the youth are not working? What's going on? You have land. Why don't we start a program of farming this? Onions, tomato, things like that, cooperative, group by group. In between us, among us, oh, let's start building that school that is, we're not waiting for the government because they're not going to come and do that. So let's do that. All the youth in the villages, we had geobeton. The material, we're just gonna get the machine and we take the machine, go to the villages, we make the brick, we're building school together. The youth will say, we build this school for our future. So this is a program I started and it's been 2-3 years now going now.
Well done.
Wow. That's very good.
Yeah, very well
good.
done.
Very good. Very
Absolutely.
good.
Thank you.
Now, see, you guys, Willem, you actually hit the nail on the head. See, for me, yes, we talk about leadership all the time. I mean, when I talk to many of my friends about our problems, the first thing they come up with, leadership. Okay. But very few people talk about leadership, personal leadership, because that's where it starts from. It starts with you. You see,
absolutely.
It starts with the followers.
Because if you can't lead yourself and you tell other people what to do, from a leadership perspective, you're going to be incongruent.
Yeah.
And people smell that a mile away.
You see,
the thing is, if I don't hold myself to the standard that I want you to follow,
yeah,
it's not
leadership.
But let me bring in an angle here,
okay,
if you can allow me.
Yeah,
I just want to bring an angle. You do realize that there are very powerful people who want to maintain the status quo, right?
Oh, yes.
And I think that component cannot be run away from.
No.
And they say that he that does not learn from history is bound to repeat it. And I want to bring three examples that I think really will hit home. I think they're very pertinent, they're very potent, and they really, drive the point home. The first example is Lumumba. Lumumba, yes, I'll be very quick to admit, was a very naive guy. I studied a lot of our African history, and I studied all the factors around the rise of the MPLA, so whatever they were called, their party, MPC or MPC or whatever it's called, and how Lumumba became such a powerful factor, the fight to unite Congo, the gain for independence, his very fiery speech, against King Willem and his subsequent death warrant as a result of that speech. And then the naivety of trying to unite the Congo. And I want to bring that in, Namy, not in any way to disparage or discourage what you raise, but to show the complexity of dealing with an inbuilt programming for selfishness based on tribal division. And Congo was no exception. Lumumba did his best, but he was dealing with a very complex situation. And when you add to it the fact that he didn't use a lot of wisdom in how he handled the colonial powers, he set himself up for his ending. And Congo's never recovered. Number two, Sankara. Sankara was a phenomenal guy, favorite president in Africa, as far as I'm concerned. Totally socialistic in outlook, very unselfish. He did in 2 years for Burkina Faso what many countries have failed to do for decades. 2 years. Made it completely free in terms of debt, made it completely self-sustaining in terms of its food and money and everything inside. But you know what that did? He basically messed with the colonial government, specifically the French colonial government, and they ensured his demise.
Guys,
Burkina Faso, yeah.
Guys, please, apart from water, let's all mute.
Oh yeah, mute. Yeah, just to avoid the that's fine. I keep muting. Yeah. So anyway, Burkina Faso has never recovered. You know this, Ekene. You know this, Willem. You know this, Namy. Number three. Now this one's a bit controversial, but let's go for it. Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi, like everybody else, like Saddam Hussein. I'm not even saying Saddam Hussein was a good guy. I'm just giving examples. All realize that for as long as they're going to be dealing with the US dollar as a way to manage themselves, they're in trouble. And Gaddafi had the phenomenal idea of uniting Africa, Namy's idea. He went around to every country, marketed the idea of the new AU. That's how the new AU was born. Set aside a reserve of over $700 billion in gold reserves so that they could create the dinar, the Africa dinar, which would then become the currency by which all of Africa would trade. Where's Gaddafi today? Where's Libya today? So I understand the thing about unity, but until we recognize that there are groups and people outside of this continent in whose interest this status quo serves them, we're literally dreaming fairy tales where we might as well be riding unicorns and sliding down, rainbows to the proverbial gold pot at the end. In short, what I'm saying is there is a reality and we got to deal with it. And so let me throw this back to you.
And I respectfully disagree. And I think, Namy, you as well, you want to lead with your disagreement?
I disagree completely, but you go, Willem, and I'll go.
Okay, so, yeah. So, Walter, yes, there's nothing I can do about that. It's like me sitting and complaining about the load shedding or our rolling blackouts that we have in South Africa. It is the playing field. When you're a child and you go on break, there is a bully. There's usually 2 or 3 bullies. Okay, sometimes they band together. It is life. And if life was easy, everybody would be successful at it. And it's about, and that's the thing is, you have to consistently try that. It is part of the game. You have to understand, I like street epistemology's perspective on argumentation. If you can argue your opponent's point as passionately as your own, then you're in a good place.
Yeah.
And if I were in their position, I would keep status quo as well. I fix it if it ain't broke. Okay. I've got screwed in major business deals in my business. But when I looked at the perspective from where they come, I was like, I would do exactly the same decision as you did. So it is what it is. Like my mom said to me, Willem, you're farting against thunder. It is what it is. Play with it. Roll with it. And that's where the strength can come in. Instead of going, because of them, we go like, because of them, I'm here. Because of them, I can go there. There's a difference between the two. One is empowering, the other is disempowering. And you're not a disempowered man. I don't read you like that. But
personally, he's not.
No. And I don't put you like that. But the thing is, I think when we grow our view of the world and go like, we're not a child standing up to two parents. Our continent is a grown human being. We're equal to them. But as the playground bully, we need to go and handle that. And the only way you can do that is by stepping up and empowering yourself.
Okay. Namy, go.
Yeah. Reverend Walter, I want you to keep faith as you are Reverend. Because, yes, look like it's a jungle. You know, they say hyena chase together, okay? Everybody has to protect their own things. Everybody, it's like a survival thing. Things happen. Everything, whatever happened, they did it because they had to, you know, provide for the people, and they had to do it for the sake of the nation. They stick together like bees. We don't stick together. Gaddafi died because most of the African country president did not back him up. The president of Uganda sold him off. Most of the presidents went behind and made other deal. The traitors, they're not, I don't know how to say that. Like, this is our problem in Africa. It's not because of other people. It's the lack of unity here. If we were standing like one against every single other proposition we might have, we can win this. We can go back to where we were before and build up Africa. It's not, there's that big power force we cannot deal. Yeah, Lumumba didn't do a mistake. He did what he has to do. He did what he has to do. It's the person that betrayed them that should question, why did you do that against your brother? Why can't you stick together and for one and say no to if whatever come and give you the proposition to start a war or do a little of a coup or whatever? Because every single thing, Africa, we had to accept for them to use us. We had to accept every coup happened because one of us accepted it. Because one of us accepted it. Simple as that. Simple.
Okay. Now,
can I do a rebuttal? Can I do a rebuttal?
Let me make my see. I understand where you're coming from. Like Willem just said, and I know, at least this is what I know about you personally. As an individual, you don't buy into this, should I use the word victim mentality? Okay.
No. That's right.
You don't. Okay. But when it comes to Africa, you see Africa as a child who everybody else is beating up, okay, on the playground. Okay. And I will say this. Every country in this world has been beaten up at one time or the other, including, okay, African empires were the very, very first empires in the world. And they beat up the secondary small cities around them. We did what the current big empires are doing. Okay, maybe that happened 5,000 years ago. Okay, And we don't know, most of us don't know anything about our history, okay? And they were crying because the new giants of the world are doing the same thing to us, okay? Now, that's my take. Just like Willem said, we have to deal with these things, okay? We have to deal with these things. Now, what do we need to do? We need to, like Namy says, okay, we should come together. But that coming together has a reason. There's a reason why we haven't come together. And that will be the next thing we'll talk about. So, Walter, go. Tell us.
My rebuttal. No,
yes.
I agree. You know, the irony of all this is that I actually agree wholeheartedly with all the passion you can think of with both Willem and Namy. But one of the things I've learned, you know, I did a very long stint in health, homeopathic and naturopathic health. I'm also an NLP.
Go. I had another meeting today.
Okay, wow.
All right. That's fair. All right. Thank you for being here for the short time you have been here. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Yeah. So like I was saying, being a student of naturopathy and homeopathy, as well as neuro-linguistic programming, there's something I have learned and appreciated. And it is this: you do not deal with the problem until you first wholly diagnose it. Okay. And your ability to diagnose well is the difference between prescribing the right treatment or not. And if we are where we are as Africans, we must have a full understanding of the challenges we face, the scope and depth of those challenges, and the proposed solutions for those challenges. Of course, like any smart people, we must look to our fellows around the world and see how they dealt with these problems and how they overcame them and what we can adapt. But then again, to borrow Willem's term, to borrow Namy's term, even yourself, Ekene, we must look for a homegrown solution. So I don't play victim, and Willem, you're correct, I don't. My aim of raising those stories is to show that even as you go into that school ground, you do have the enemies. And like you rightly put it, Willem, we must face the enemies. But as you face them, what's that saying? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Well, I will say this. Let's not use the word enemies. See, I don't see them as enemies. Okay. I see them as, just like Willem said, they are the bullies on the playground. Okay.
Okay, so let's go them.
We were, like I said, we also were there at one time.
Semantics. So let's bring these bullies closer. Let's see how we can leverage these bullies in order to get ourselves to where we want to be. And to do so, we must fully understand where we are falling short and why. And I like what Namy raised. Namy raised a great point. She talked about betrayal. You know, the first point that I have in my 7 keys to transforming Africa is taking responsibility. How did we find ourselves in this situation? So we must take responsibility for that. That I agree. So when I raise the issue of the enemies, is just to say that, look, even as you talk about, hey, let's unite, let's do this, we must recognize that within that context are people that would prefer you remain the way you are.
All right.
Because it serves.
Right. All right. Yeah. Let's move on to the next level. Now, I think the next thing is about coming together, okay? Because Namy is very passionate about that, okay? I am also very passionate about that. But let me start. See, like I said, we cannot come together until we realize the need to come together. And we have we overcome what is dividing us. Okay. See, unfortunately, where I disagree with my sister, Namy, is that what is dividing us is history, human human nature. Okay, human nature, one of the things it does, it teaches us to bond with people like us. Okay, and it also teaches us not to trust somebody who is different from you in language, in culture. Okay, and Africa has, like I said, is the most diverse continent in the world. And we need to acknowledge this. If we don't, we'll continue running around, blaming or saying everything. We won't change anything. So, Namy, this is my view. Until we understand why we struggle to come together, we will never come together. Let me just say this. Okay, I've had this podcast now for 2 years now. All right, Willem, I will tell you, I've invited at least 30 people from South Africa to come on the podcast. Only 2 of you have actually been here. Okay. And at least I've talked to at least 10, no, maybe 8 people, and we have agreed, okay, to do the podcast. I've organized everything, done my research, done at the last minute. If you text me, oh, they can come at the last minute. Others do not just appear from South Africa. Okay. Now, I look at this. For this to be happening from South Africa consistently, it doesn't happen from any other region of Africa. Why? I'm bringing this up just to show you that we have this, maybe I use the word animosity towards each other. I don't know why, but we do. And we need to understand these things if we truly want to be one. So, Namy, take it away.
I don't agree with what you just said.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't have the time. You don't know people program. You don't know what people are doing. So you cannot assume because they didn't respond to your podcast, that means they hate you.
No.
Animosity.
Hold on.
That's the issue. That's why we're not getting together. Oh, but that's where we're going.
Hold on.
That's where we're going.
Hold on. I didn't say they didn't respond. I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
We were talking about the issue why we cannot come together, and you just mentioned that. So
no, that wasn't what I said. That wasn't what I said. See,
okay, you said from South Africa.
Hold on.
At least how many people didn't show up for your podcast?
Hold on, please. Hold on. See, remember you have been on the podcast before. We talked. Okay, we went back and forth. See, I went through the process with them. Okay, I'm just saying. I went.
So for you, what was the reason they didn't turn up?
I don't know, but they didn't come back to me.
Yeah, but you can't put that in a why we don't get along because you don't know, so you cannot put that in that category.
No, I'm saying I just said I don't know why. Okay, but it happens consistently from the same.
So you have something behind
I don't
your
know
mind.
why, but it happens consistently.
But if you don't know something, you don't put that in a category that we're talking about.
Oh, come on. Say what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this. That
I think I want to add to this. If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck,
Okay.
And,
See,
it's an observation.
it's an observation. Yeah.
It's an observation.
It's a duck. It's a duck.
You know, it's an observation. And I don't think it's an animosity.
Okay.
You know, one thing from a man's perspective, if you want to lose trust in a man, disrespect him. And I think what we need to come back to is just respect. It's not animosity. It's not necessarily even understanding. I don't have to understand where you come from.
Okay.
Just simple respect. And I'm quite hard on that with my son as well, with the people in my class as well. If you're late for my class, if you don't do the work for my class, I kick you out. Because you don't have respect for yourself and for me and the other people in the class. So yeah, no, I see it as a respect thing, and it's an observation. And Namy, I agree with you. We got to unpack that, but it's an interesting observation.
Well, I mean, Willem, just to build off what you've said, I mean, for me, I feel Ekene 100%. Because here in this my country, we have a very similar attitude, and you almost think we're all cut off the same DNA in a way. One of the most common weaknesses, and I address this very heavily when I'm dealing with people that take my course, Unleashing Your Destiny, very similar to what you do, Willem. I address the issue of being assertive and being factual, or when I say factual, being real. One of the challenges we face in Zambia, I don't know about South Africa, but in Zambia, we face this. A lot of people like to agree. It's such a negative character trait, because when you talk to them and say, oh, yes, no, absolutely. No, we believe, no, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm running with you. I'm going to put the money in. I'm going to commit the time. I believe. Then when it comes to the day or the moment or the time or the commitment that they made or the pledge, not only don't they show up, they don't even have the courtesy. And for me, I really have a go at people for that. I don't even sugarcoat it. They don't even have the courtesy of coming back and saying, oh, Willem, I know we agreed we'll meet at 2 today. Unfortunately, something came up at 10 or whatever. And I am so not able to do this. I'm so sorry. I'll make it up to you. You know, for me, that's just courtesy. Just get back to the person, let them know. But in my country, people will actually let you go. I've also had the same story, Ekene. They'll let you actually get to wherever with all the resources. And I run radio shows, you know, I run a radio show. So I have to get guests. I have to plan. I have to do all sorts of things. And you don't even prepare a script because, you know, it's just that I'm so used to it. And that's not nice, but I'm used to it. I always have a backup story, like just in case they don't show up. And for sure, they don't show up and you're phoning them and they don't even have the courtesy to even answer your call. So, Willem, I feel you. Yes, it's a very big problem.
Mentality and that's mentality and education. That's education.
That starts at home. I
mean, you cannot say everybody is like that. You cannot say that's
no. We're not saying everybody.
If I wasn't at home at 6 for dinner,
there are
my mom would have me.
They have individual that, but we're talking about why African can't work together.
Yes.
And Ekebe has pointed out, was one of the
No. I just gave you one example.
What example? And he even said as well, I don't know who quoted that, then you cannot try somebody we have different languages, or you cannot associate with.
Oh, no, I said, no, I didn't say we don't have.
Ekebe said that. He said it said something about cultural, we got to learn that you cannot.
Namy, hold on. Namy.
I never grew
up. Hold on, Namy.
Yeah.
These things about differences of culture and language, okay, and the impact, this is a known fact in history. Okay, so I'm not saying things that are just new. Everybody knows this.
Knows what? Though you cannot talk to anybody else because you don't have the same languages. You cannot speak the same language, like you're maybe Yoruba. You cannot try somebody that is Igbo. You cannot. I don't understand that.
No, not necessarily. No, what it is, Namy, just coming in there, what it means, we're saying, what are the things dividing us? And we're saying it's the languages, it's the colonial borders, and it's the belief system. So what we're saying is these things divide because of how they're designed. So we have to overcome that. I mean, we're not going to sit on the victimhood side. But they are barriers. But they are barriers, because even when you attend an African all state meeting, you really notice the barrier, because you've got the Portuguese speaking, you've got the French speaking, you've got the English speaking. That in itself is already a barrier. So you got to overcome that with translators and whatever. But it is a big issue. And Namy, even if you disagree, yes, we're all vibrating at a higher frequency.
I don't think we're speaking about the same issue. I don't think we're speaking about the same issue here. That's why I just want to point out. I don't think we're speaking about the same issue here.
The dividing?
What do you think? What issue are you speaking about? Yeah.
When you started your why we don't get together, you said when we grow up, we got told to not trust.
No, I never said that.
Okay, go back to your podcast then. Did you register? Yeah, you said, because I noted it and I wanted to ask you about that actually. I wanted to say, well, who said don't trust somebody that's other culture, that because you don't understand that? You said we grow up as a culture where we stick to what we know, we stick to the people that we know, we grow up with, and we got told that we cannot trust.
No, I never said that.
Okay. You will listen back.
That's
my language.
I
know why Namy talking about. You will listen back and you will say, yeah, yeah.
Hello, guys.
Because
I say anything like that?
I put that down because that when you said that, I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted to let you finish because I was about to ask you, since when? Because I grew up in Africa, I never got to, because we got 62 different languages here, to never trust other languages because we grow up with this. We cannot mix, or we cannot do anything with others. Never in my life.
Okay, well, okay, Namy, maybe that might be your situation.
Group. Okay, no, but don't Namy, trust this and this.
Okay, but Namy, that may be your situation in Ivory Coast, but in Zambia, right now, this is the first time that we have what they call a Tonga president, and for the longest of times, all the previous governments has fought so hard to ensure we don't have tribalism, because it's an undercurrent, it's a simmering undercurrent. But the policies that were put in place from the time our first founding president came into power was to ensure that we don't spill over into a Rwanda. But we do have a problem where people are marked by their tribal belonging. It's such a big problem. And then what's his name? Willem actually said earlier that there's xenophobia in South Africa because it's part of the culture. So these are things that we have to acknowledge and then deal with. Like, how do we deal with it? But it's there, because in South Africa right now, I have a friend of mine who even fears to go out in the street. There was a time it was so bad, just a couple of months ago. He's from Congo, he's based in Cape Town, but the language is so potent. People are so angry. It's these foreigners. And also it doesn't help anything. I'm sure you saw when they had the March 20th march and all the Nigerians were marching with the EFF. Yes, there's a whole animosity. Absolutely. So in short, what I'm saying is, yes, we are all vibrating at a higher level, and our consciousness isn't at that level of division through tribe and language. But the truth of the matter is, at the bottom of that pyramid,
where that comes from?
Where
does xenophobia come from? Where does xenophobia come from?
Culture, simple culture. It's culture. It's simple.
So it's a culture that's teaching us to be xenophobe. So it's a culture that's teaching us to be xenophobe.
Yes, because that's what they're saying. No, it's absolutely.
That's what they are
completely
saying.
Disagree. No, do you know what's teaching it?
So in the culture they are saying you cannot like your other brother or your other.
Absolutely. I live in Zambia. I know what goes on. Yes.
Well, Walter, let's let Willem say something about this.
Yeah, true.
Willem, what's your view on this?
It's a very interesting discussion that we're getting.
It's different from white and black, because we know what happened with white and black, but we're talking about amongst Africa ourselves, because we know the issue.
Namy,
Yeah.
One question to you.
Yeah.
What makes you disagree with it?
Because I grew up in a society where we never got told to hate our proud, like here in Ivory, because we are different culture. Cool. Yes. The problem we have was religion.
That. Yeah. And Walter experienced that.
So that's why I don't understand. In our culture, that's the roof of where everything comes from. To say that you cannot, trust somebody else in the same soil, your village next to your village, or this is to be honest for me. Wow.
Okay. No,
this is where the problem comes
from. And Namy, you're not wrong. Neither you're right, and Walter, neither you're wrong or right. Okay, it's a different experience. I grew up in apartheid. I was a kid. It's a fascinating thinking back to it. Your mind goes like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And the divisiveness was designed in. That was designed in. It was designed to divide people. Absolutely. And I think we're still recovering from that. But the younger generation is coming in. But that's a long discussion. We need a bottle of wine and a long podcast.
It's a long way. That is still a long way to go. That is still a long way.
Let's look at it at a bigger scale. Okay, so we do have xenophobia in South Africa. We have animosity and distrust in Zambia. Where you in the Ivory Coast, you go like, that was never part of mine. Okay.
Nigeria also have that.
We have the biggest Lebanon community in West Africa. We are host country.
So how do we bring this together? That's the thing. It's because everybody's living their truth there. And everybody's seeing and reflecting what they're getting and experiencing. And it's valid. I can't argue on that point. My point is, and I think what Ekene is trying to get to as well with this conversation is, how do we move past that?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
How do we get people to be like you experienced, Namy? Because if we could mirror that, bloody hell, this would be a continent.
Would be in Nirvana right now.
Would be the bloody strong guy. This would be the big kid in the block.
Yeah.
And we're not getting there.
It's not impossible.
No, I never said it was impossible. Namy, I think you should make a switch from, I think you've made your point. We understand your point. You don't have to defend it no more. I think it's cool. So from your experience, what are the other guys not doing? What you did?
Correct.
And how do we mirror it in our neck of the woods?
Yeah.
How would you go about it? If I gave you a platform today and you could address Africa, okay, and everybody had electricity at the same time, that's a tongue-in-cheek. So we can tune in, okay? What would you say? Where would you start?
Me?
How would you start that conversation?
Well, I would say to my people that once in a lifetime, we were the greatest nation on earth. We created everything that we see today. Yeah. We run this world at once, and we can do that again. So whatever divide that, whatever is religion, whatever it's political divide, whatever, we need to look deep. We're one nation. We share one DNA. That's all.
I like that. And I've seen a lot of people and heard a lot of people say, look deep into yourself. Okay, cool. That's very nice and fluffy words. What should I look at? Because when my son was kid, there's this the movie, the animated movie Shrek, and he gets like ogres are like onions. They have layers, and we have layers. Reverend, you have a religious layer, and then you have the family layer, and then this layer, and then you have Walter. Okay, and I think it's about how do we get people to look past the layers?
Yeah.
Because there's no benefit in us,
Humanity.
or no motivation.
Humanity.
Benefit is not is the wrong word. Motivation for people to look past that. And if we can crack that nut, that'll be nice. If I could see the root Walter, the root Ekene, the root Namy, and go like, wow. What's that movie with the blue guys, Avatar, when they greet each other? Yeah, and when they go, I see you, you know. So
yeah, I see. Ivoire. I created a brand. We call that I see. We call that Ivoire. So I put on the t-shirt, people. Yeah, when you see it, yeah.
It's a very touchy topic.
That's how I go.
Honest,
that's how I go. Look, when I go to the villages, that's my simple speech. And everybody.
You know what's so amazing about this, Namy, and why I feel you is because that is really one of our greatest barriers. And until we get to a place in literally, to pick off what Willem just said, the congruence and the subsequent incongruence, until beliefs that are core, and remember, beliefs are implanted in formative years. You know, one statement that really touched me many years ago was this statement: kids don't see color. So where do people learn to be racist? When you get two little kids, 3-4-year-olds, and you put them together, the one kid doesn't see the other one as white, the other one doesn't see the other one as black. They just play. And that's it. They play in real harmony. So where does the racism, the tribalism, and all these things, where does that come? It is, thank you. It is learned. And guess where it's learned, Namy? It's learned at the dinner table. It's learned as they walk to go to the field to harvest. It's learned when they hang around the family meetings. That's where it's learned. So do you see how endemic, how deep, how base it is? And so it's literally like back to South Africa and Willem with the challenges. It's like the issue of trying to solve the South African governance problem. Apartheid. I think this, no, beyond apartheid, just the current situation. For me, it's a system now. It's become systemic. Systemic means it's so deep, it's unconsciously done. And I think that's the headache or challenge we all have to deal with, because we're dealing with people that are systemized to be that way. I like Willem's words there. He said apartheid was designed to be divisive. So this issue we're speaking about, this division in Africa, is systemic. It's borders, it's language, it's all these things. Because really, honestly, I'm sure you agree with me, Namy, we shouldn't even have borders. Why the heck do we have borders? Exactly. You start to ask people, why do we have borders? Because some of those borders, I don't know how it is in your country, but in my country, do you know that we have people of the same tribe?
We have the same. My tribe come from Mali.
There you
go. When I trace my descendants from my dad's side, they're from Mali. In the Royal Mwambazi in the back, because I love history. I checked all of those things. I know where we're from.
Absolutely. So imagine
we shouldn't even have borders. That's clear.
Yes, absolutely. So, but why do we have them? So you realize that
because of Berlin, 1984, 1985. You know,
correct. So do you see the external influence? You see what I mean when I say this is systemic? 1885, that's right. This is systemic. So it's so deep that we need a complete program around an unlearning and relearning.
But I think we passed that. We passed that at our level here. We passed that.
No, okay, yeah, you guys are very good. No, in Ivory Coast, you're blessed. In Zambia,
guys, see this. I will tell you. This particular topic of discussion, okay, it's very, very important, and maybe I will host another session that will deal with it all through the day. Okay, maybe 2 hours of talking about this because it's very, very important. And it's not just about the borders. It's not just about Berlin Conference. That's just barely 150 years ago. Okay, it's human nature. Okay, see, a book written by Ibn Khaldun about the 14th century. Okay, he's an Arab scholar from, I think, Tunisia. Okay, wrote about this. Okay, about what he calls asabiya. Okay, see, human beings are this is what human beings are. We like people like you. Okay, we like people like us. Now the issue is this: Africa is very, very diverse. Okay, see, no matter how much we use fluffy words to unite us, words, simple words, will not do the trick. We need to take actions. Okay, actions that will make the words concrete. See, in the past, wars are fought. People are subjugated, and through centuries they assimilate. That's what we have done all through history. Okay, so now we don't want that kind of fighting, but we can always use other tools to do the assimilation for us. But before we are able to do that, we need to acknowledge the differences and the challenges. Until we do that acknowledgement, nothing will happen. That's my take on this.
So I'm gonna have to go.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it was really nice meeting you guys.
All right.
And yeah, hopefully we'll meet another time.
Of course, we'll have another one.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, William. Nice meeting you, Reverend. And let's talk. We go back. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
So I just want to add something to this.
Yes.
So there's a leadership program that I do. I'm one of a handful of people in the world that do it. Here's an interesting thing. And and we use hostage taking situations to do that. And one of the first things that you do to connect with your hostage taker is empathy. I'm divorced, happily divorced. If I had to see a guy and he had a wedding ring on and I had one on, that's where our connection starts.
Yeah.
If you see a man or a woman with a child and you're with a child, that's where your connection starts.
Yeah.
That's empathy, because I see the human. I don't see your tribe. I don't see your culture. I don't see your race. I go like, that's a parent, and I'm a parent. As well.
Yeah.
Same thing if I'm at a crowd and it's just people without kids and there's another parent with a kid, I go like, yeah, let's go hang with that person.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to look at this, is to I think the key is empathy. And looking at connection, not from a tribal religious perspective. That can come later. But at the core, we need to look at the human being. We're like,
yeah,
I'm a father. Walter, you're a father.
Yeah,
Ekene, you're
me
a
too.
father. And that binds us. And together as three fathers, we can start talking about issues.
Yeah.
That's what connects us. And you can slice and dice this from many different angles. And once you get to that, that's why I'm easily connected. Although I'm an introvert, I easily connect with people, because I look from where's the connection that I have. And like you described human nature before, if you're in a crowd of white guys and there's one other black guy, you're going to go like, hey,
go there. Yeah.
Let's go start there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you racist. It doesn't
No,
make you
it doesn't.
exclusionist. It's just go like, I can connect with him because we have something in common.
In this crowd, what?
Yeah. Yeah. But if there were just white guys and you're the only black guy and there's another black guy, but there's another white guy with a kid, you would go like, hey, let's go hang with that guy as well. Because that's the thing is, and there's so many, there's not little that connects us. There's way more that connects us than we would give credit to. But we have to start seeing it and teaching people to see it and start talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. See, guys, we have 3 other topics: religion, culture, education, and the last one,
entrepreneurship.
Yes, entrepreneurship. Now, let's go religion and culture, because we can now use that to piggyback to education. All right. So, Reverend, this is your domain, right? Yes, it's your domain.
So which angle do you want me to come from?
Oh,
the positive.
You can both. You can take both of them.
Yeah, the good angle.
Yeah.
No, the good. Okay, so
religion, culture.
We pick up on the religion. Let's clarify which angle. Okay.
Religion.
Well, if we talk about the side, how do we? Okay, so in terms of religion, I think it is indisputable that every religion has a certain set of common threads in them. And things like the universal law of love and doing unto others what you'd have them do unto you. These are real. Rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, the golden rule, that's it. And beyond that, selflessness, the idea of looking and esteeming others greater than yourself, the idea of having empathy. I love the empathy point you raised, Willem. And empathy is about looking at things from the other person's angle. It's the classic example of, walking in somebody else's moccasins. Never judge a man until you walk in his shoes, that kind of thing. So it's
especially when he has stinky feet.
You know what I mean? It's the challenge we face. The challenge we face is that people have so much fear. And fear is comes as a result of the fear of losing out, the fear of pain, the fear of losing something. That is such a basic, instinctive kind of fear that's programmed into all adults. It's programmed through the formative years because kids don't have it. You know that. Kids learn fear with experience. So the more they go through various experiences, the more they begin to set a world point or a viewpoint or a worldview, and sooner or later they're set in it. And it's such a challenge. I don't know, Willem, what your experience has been working to change the mindset of individuals at that level, but it's quite hard. I don't say it's impossible. I'm just saying it's hard because the numbers are testimony. For a fact.
No, Walter, you have a good point there. And yeah, I'm quite a specialist at mindset shifting. I'm very good at that. That's the secret sauce of my work that I do. But it's not the fear of loss necessarily. Okay, I think that's the yin to the yang. I think it's, what am I afraid of gaining? So loss and gain go hand in hand, because if I assimilate that culture, what will I gain? And what I see in my work when I get people, I rapidly uplift people out of poverty like this in a matter of days and weeks. Now they have money. They've gained money. What else did they gain? Now the label of, oh, but rich people are selfish. Rich people are crooked. Rich. So that's what they gain. It's the fear of gain more than the fear of loss. Because they're losing life. They're losing grip and position in life. They're losing status because they're getting poorer and poorer every day. They've made peace with the losses, but it's the gains that really scares the living daylights out of them. And I can see that daily in my work and it's this mental disconnect where people go like, but I want millions this and millions that. But as soon as they have money, and that to a great extent, I come from a very religious background. I actually wanted to become a pastor at one stage. Yes, I still want to start a church and make a lot of money. But that's a different question. But I understand where they come from. You know, it's not that I just judge it like, yeah, I was never in the church. I was very much there. But it's the fear of and what's been programmed into you. And I really want to lambaste a lot of preachers on that when I go like, you destroyed people. You did a lot of harm to people. I'm not pointing to you, Walter. I'm saying to that person. And another thing, what I see also in my classes, then the people, they have nothing. They don't even, and then people go like, God provides. I go like, what? Have you looked at this place? Nothing's being provided. Okay? Nothing. That guy must run the biggest discount shop on earth because this is cheap shit that's lying around here. And in a way there, I want to lament the people. Because now they go like, God is good. God will always provide. Okay, what are you doing about it? Yes. It needs to, you need to do the work. Correct. You need to do the work as well. So from my experience, the fear of gain, the label, the social labels that will come with it is a massive fear, but also the disempowerment of, and it goes hand in hand, and that's not necessarily a victim mentality, but yeah, somebody will take care of me mentality. So that's fine. It's in God's hands. And I go like, no. I'm putting the squarely in your hands.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yes. God is not a handyman. Okay. I agree. You have the hands. You need to go and do the work. And I think we need to strike a balance between letting go of fire and brimstone and fear of loss and gain, and also really amp up personal responsibility. That's one thing that I do in my stuff. I go like, if you're on time, you're late. If you need to be at 9 and you're here at 9, you're late. Because you're still going to go to the toilet, get a cup of coffee, get a sandwich, and then you sit in my class, and I go like, what? No respect for me? Get out of my class. Okay?
No, for sure.
Yeah, I run Swiss time in my workshops.
No, I love that. I'm in the same boat like you. And you know, just kind of building off what you just said there, Willem, which I love so much. You know, there's 2 scriptures, and that's why in my list of issues to do with religion, I talk about how religion glorifies poverty. And it's glorified because people have a warped idea. And let me speak specifically for Christianity, because I'm not going to speak about other religions. In the Word of God, it is so crystal clear that the passages that are used to push a paradigm of poverty and to amplify the fear of gain, I love that, is the first one says, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. I mean, that is the most misconstrued, misunderstood, and misquoted scripture of Jesus. It's so
and most damaging.
Yes, because it's not what Jesus meant. But you see, at face value, it sounds like that. But when you get the context of what Jesus was speaking about in full, like get the whole passage, read right through, and then read beyond it to the bottom and see what he actually says. Then you realize he was using hyperbole to indicate a situation that really amplified the missed or misunderstood gains as far as money is concerned. But the second one, which I love the most, this is the crux of the cake. It's the passage. Now I'm going to quote what people hear, and then I'm going to quote what the Bible says. They are so different. It's ridiculous. And every time I show people, I literally have to let them read, and they go, "Oh my God, I never saw that." Yes, because of what is sung out there. So here's what people hear. People hear this: money is the root of evil.
Yeah.
That's what they hear. Money is the root of evil. That is so untrue, because the passage says, and I quote, "The love of money is a root." So it's not the root. No. A root to all kinds of evil. Do you hear how different those two are? So money isn't the root of evil. Money isn't the root of evil. No, it's just a subject. It's like you could take the word money out and put power, and it will be the same thing.
Yeah.
So but unfortunately, like you say there, Willem, there's so much. This stuff has been rammed down the throats of people. And I don't know how it is over there with your groups in Willem, but here in Zambia, there's this belief that rich people are also into witchcraft and demonology and sorcery and all sorts of things.
Same thing here, no different.
So the problem is, at a subconscious level, people fear wealth because they think it's connected to all these evil things, you see? So you now have that incongruence you're talking about. So on the one hand, you want the wealth, but at a deep a subconscious level, you fear it because it brings with it witchcraft and demonology.
Now, this is where I will take it. See, belief, okay? Religion is fundamentally built on beliefs.
Yeah.
Culture is fundamentally built on beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for me, yes, I'm not religious, but I understand in the last 2,000 years how Christianity and Islam have contributed to the world we live in today. And I will tell you, see, and maybe you'll be shocked. I will tell you, I see all the good things they did, a lot. Okay. The financial system that the world runs on, and which has been the most successful in the history of humanity, okay, that financial system was built basically on a belief in Christianity. Okay. Between the 8th to the 12th century, Islam did a lot of work to build and promote science. Okay. They did a lot. So I see what they have done to progress the human progress. Now, on the other hand, also they have somehow caged many of us, especially from the lower cadre of society. Now, this religion and culture has risen the upper echelon of society, and at the same time caged the majority in the lower cadre of society. Okay, now for us in Africa, how can we see? For me, maybe some years ago, maybe up to 2 years ago, I wanted to eliminate religion. Now I don't. But my point is this: how can we reduce the impact of those passages or the interpretation of those passages you read? Okay, how can we reduce the impact in our society and help raise our people their thinking, not to fear money, not to fear knowledge? How? Now that comes to the next subject, education. Education is the key. In fact, education is the key to many of the struggles we have, including our problems with diversity. Okay, because if we don't want to go to war to conquer smaller tribes, then we need to educate ourselves to know that war will not help anybody. Okay, that we need to find other solutions to those issues. So, education. What is to you, Water? What do you see?
Yes, for me, there are three components to education, and I'll pontificate a bit because I'm very passionate about this particular subject. But I'll be brief, Willem. I'm not going to go too far. But here it is. Number one, we must look at what education really is. And to understand what education really is, there must be a differentiation between education and schooling.
Okay.
Education is four things. It is learning to read so that we are able to catch the ideas of others. Yeah, even for me. Same here. I think we'll be ending then.
Same here.
So number one, catch the ideas of all those that have been shared in the past. So get ideas into your head. Writing, to take stuff which is in your head and put it down on paper. That's the first stage to conquering anything. And then counting so that you can keep track of what you do as progress, and then innovating using these three in order to solve real problems in your society. Okay. For me, that's education.
I agree.
Now, schooling is indoctrinating people into a way of thinking and behaving in order to suit a given agenda. So unfortunately, our education in Africa today is more schooling than it is education. So therefore, the key lies in taking the schooling out. I know that sounds funny, but literally taking the schooling out of the education and letting education really be education. And I'll close with these 3 points and then Willem can jump in. Number one, true education must be quality. And I think that's been a big problem because of all the poverty issues. You know what I mean? You can't get enough teachers, can't get enough teaching aids, you can't get whatever, power, you name it all. It's all in there. And so that means the quality of education being given is really dismal in some places to non-existent. So that's a big deal. Then number two, it must be accessible. What does that mean? That means kids shouldn't have to walk more than 2 kilometers to get to a school, wherever they are. And for as long as that's not the case, you know that makes it impossibly difficult for the average folk out there to get to school. And that inability to get to school is the start of all your problems. So any well-meaning government, any well-meaning society wants to ensure that the access to schools is made as simple as possible for all members of society. And then number three, which for me, I think is the pivot, it's the fulcrum, it's the one that balances the seesaw, that is relevance. That education must be relevant to that community. I really don't see why we should be learning about Saskatchewan and what's his name? Bismarck, Autobahn, Bismarck in Germany. Really, what's the relevance of that to the African child? Why don't we learn about the pyramids? Why don't we learn about the great Zimbabwe? Why don't we learn about the great Mansa Musa and all these great history of Africa that is apparently nowhere to be seen in our education material? Let's learn what is relevant. So, for example, Willem. Willem is well, originally Boer, original Dutch. They have a very, very rich history as a people.
Yeah.
And they teach that history to their children. And it helps them form, for me, you can't divorce history from identity. It's such a critical component. In the Bible, you know, God stressed that. You shall remind your children when they ask you, you shall tell them about what happened in Egypt. Like, you know, God, I brought you out of Egypt. Yeah. So you see this whole thing about history and legacy and ancestors and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. You know, we ought to know our own ancestors. Who are our ancestors? You know what I mean? So my point is relevance, whether it's history, whether it's geography, whether it's physics or whatever it is, we need to have it relevant. So I think that's what's going to see us progress. As long as we're learning things that don't make any sense, and then we're being schooled into a certain way of thinking, that's going to mess us up.
Willem.
Some good points there. And I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I want to provide a different perspective.
Okay.
And I think you raised some bloody good points there. You know, the context, the accessibility, the quality, fully agree with you. So I can only comment on this from an entrepreneurial training perspective. So why my program works is because it was created in Africa for Africa and proven in Africa. Takes the African context into account, and it makes it contextual and executable to the bottom of the pyramid. Now, all startup programs and entrepreneurial programs use the Silicon Valley approach of lean startup, and you have to get your MVP, and then you have to get this and everything else, and it takes long and it's a lot of money, and it's a waste of time in Africa, in my perspective. And what I've seen in entrepreneurial training, they put these kids in 6 months entrepreneurial cash flow projection, this and that and that and that and that. And then now you have to start a business. And basically what it amounts to is the following. Imagine going on a blind date. And I tell this woman my complete and utter detailed morning bathroom procedure when I wake up. Okay? Then I share with her all my quirks and little off issues in myself. And then I share with her all the batshit crazy people I have in my family. Okay? Is she going to go on a second date?
No.
Not in a million years. Okay? So we're trying to overwhelm and overpower people with all of this information. What I do is I get people from no income to complete financial sustainability in a matter of days and weeks. That then, instead of trying to use education to guide somebody, now their journey as a business person guides their journey in learning. Because now they go, oh, now I need to learn this. Now I need to learn that. But how do I get to that? By changing the mindset. Now the person informs the learning, and the learning is not in charge of them. And that leads to more efficient learning, a more efficient system, because now you don't sit the guy in a class that has no relevance there. He's going like, I'm here because my business is bleeding $1,000 a week on something that I can't pinpoint. Can you help me? And that leads you to all of that type of stuff. Just like parenting. You could read as many books on parenting as you wanted. Until that baby comes, you're like, bloody hell, I didn't learn nothing in those books. What is this? It's not supposed to come out there. Okay. And that's the thing is, and it's the mindset that we need to shift first and foremost, because one thing, Africa is rich in resources. Okay. And our people are resilient. If you're not resilient, Africa will kill you in a day.
Yeah.
Okay. They will spit you out.
Yeah.
Where our poverty lies is in our resourcefulness.
Agreed.
James, we're doing the same bloody thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And that's what I bring in is a shift the mindset. And that's what we need to look at is, and I had that discussion with many people, and that informed the choice of my son's school, because they don't school, they educate. You know, that's the difference. Just plain schooling is just you're teaching parrots. And I've never seen a rich parrot before. Okay. And that's what we need to look at. And that's a difficult thing. And I think that comes back again to leadership of self and leadership at the home, where parents must teach their children to look outside. Where do you want to go? What do you want to learn? What have you learned today? What's this? What's there? But if the parent doesn't have it, I always tell parents, and they love me and then they hate me when I say, you can only give your child that which you have.
Oof.
All the good things. And they go like, whoo, I have some good things. And I said, and all the bad things. If you suck in money, if you're poor, because you can't work with money, you're raising poor children as well. Oh, ne? Woo! That audience goes like, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we get the people of Africa to go, cool, I'm in charge of this as well. It comes to accountability, because, I had a class of 20 people, matriculants, finished high school, 25, and I asked them to divide 24,000 by 12, plus their living expenses, which were already determined, and they could use a calculator. 30 minutes later, they said, we can't do this. This math is too difficult. And then I was angry at the system for good reason. Because in South Africa, you need 30% to get a matric pass. Imagine going to a doctor that passed 30%. But I said, you're 25. What have you done about it? And I think we should start every program on TV and radio. We should start going like, what have you done about your life today? And we should drill that into the people of Africa. What have you done about it? Because too many people sit and bitch and moan. Yeah. And we're like, okay, what have you done about it? If you haven't done anything about it, shut up. Yeah. Because then you're not trying to discuss the issue, you're moaning. So I think we need to teach personal responsibility and accountability first and foremost. If we can teach that in education, personal responsibility and accountability.
Home.
That would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, you have said it all.
I think I covered the entrepreneurial education thing there as well.
Yeah. See, you have I agree with Walter about teaching relevant things. Okay, it's very, very important, especially for our young children. Okay. Now, when it comes to schooling, it's not possible. Okay. When it comes to schooling, because if you want to teach, say, the population of our continent, or of our youths, that hundreds of millions. Okay. So to be able to educate large population of people, there is a need for standardization, okay? And that means you can't teach things that are unique to every group of people. Okay. Now, when it comes to education, it involves a lot of money. And unfortunately, as our countries, I don't know if our governments are prioritizing education, putting enough money. I know in Nigeria, no. Okay. South Africa was once said to be the one country in Africa that apportions 30% of national budget for education.
Spend a lot of money in education, but it's I don't know where they're buying, but it's not working.
These things are the things that we need to start thinking about, because in Nigeria, for example, any parent that has some little money send their children to private schools. Mm-hmm. The public schools, nobody wants to send their children there because unfortunately, the primary schools in local areas, the buildings are falling apart, leaky roofs. Many of the students learn under trees. Well, I don't mind that. Okay, if it's something you decide to do, not because it's necessary, because the buildings are falling apart. So our countries need to dedicate enough money to educate a large population, because lack of education to the younger generation means we are waiting for the disaster that is inevitable. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jobs will not be created without educating our population. Our young boys, see, raising young boys without purpose is only raising rebels that will destroy your society. Mm-hmm. That's it. Raising young boys without purpose, you're only raising rebels that will destroy your society. You know, and our girls, well, if the boys are not don't have meaning in their lives, the girls will be the same. Okay, because leaders, you don't have leaders to guide this society. Everything is going out of shape, and that's what we don't want. So all these things, I don't have a solution. Okay, I don't have a solution because these things we talk about today are important, but there are things we all need to continue talking about more. And see, what Willem has said, I agree with. Personal responsibility is the only way we all can contribute to begin to solve the problems we have in our society. You know, we can make ourselves leaders to guide ourselves and guide us, our families, and raise up children who can also become leaders of their lives and contribute to society. So that's the only thing we can do as individuals. And if we can make ourselves leaders in our home, then we can go out there and contribute to society as leaders. And when we're able to, we can aspire for public office with the leadership traits we have gained through time and contribute to society. I don't know. Does anybody have a closing words?
Very deep, huh? Very, very deep. I like what Willem touched on, the state of being resourceful. Yeah. You know, that's a really deep thing. I learned that about 4 years ago when I was going through my NLP class. The state of being resourceful. I've always had it, but I just didn't know that's what it was called. And as you rightly put it, it's learning to utilize whatever you have within your environment in order to achieve an objective. So instead of sitting there helpless and saying, oh my God, now I don't have a screwdriver, so what am I going to do? Let me wait until I get a screwdriver. There's no screwdriver at home. I mean, you say, you know what? I think I could use a dinner table knife. I think this could work. You know, that's being resourceful. That's just saying, what can I use right now to get me out of the jam? And I think I remember a story, very nice story, that illustrates resourcefulness of some man driving a car, and he has a puncture and he parks right by a sanitarium. And it was some high walls, and there were some mad guys standing by the cage looking down. And he has a puncture, so he gets out, he takes his nuts out and puts them on a thing, and he starts fixing the tire, he gets a spare, fixes the tire. And when he's done putting the tire there, as he's about to get the nuts, lo and behold, they fall into a drain. Like all the 4 nuts fall into the drain. And he's like, oh my God. So he freaks out, he gets into a meltdown, he doesn't know what he's gonna do. And then this guy in the sanitarium is like, I can help you. It's like, I can help you. I have a solution to get you moving. What can you know? But in the end, he realizes, you know what? I'm not going anywhere, so I might as well listen to him. Okay, so what's your solution? He says, why don't you just remove 1 nut out of every other nut on the other tires and put the 3 on your tire, and you'll be on your way. Oh. And then you can get to the nearest place and buy the nuts and replace them. Yeah. And you see, that's being resourceful. That's the idea, that you can utilize whatever you have around you. So it's true when you say that we have major challenges in terms of the money to put in place the education and what have you. But what can we do if we were resourceful? How would it be like as a country if we started thinking resourcefully? I think that's what Burkina Faso was achieving in 1985, 86 under Sankara. They actually were heading in that direction. Yeah. It's a pity cut short, but he was extremely resourceful because of how he was able to utilize resources with it. I think to some extent, some people hate this man, but I think Magufuli was achieving the same result. He said, you know what, forget about IMF, we're gonna solve this. And sure enough, he died and left a country with no foreign debt and no pensioners outstanding. Yeah. Unbelievable for an African country. Like everybody else retiring is being paid within 3 months, and they have their money. My aunties, I'm half Tanzanian, half of my family is in Tanzania. All my aunties have retired. They're all like, quite old. None of them has an outstanding pension from the government. Wow, that's great. Yeah, amazing for Africa. For Tanzania, unbelievable. Because you got to look at where Tanzania was just before Magufuli came in. So it's true that, Willem, we can be resourceful if we choose to, and we can find a way to solve all these issues if we're willing. Willem, maybe you can pick it up and wind this and wrap this baby up. Then it'll go back to.
Yes, I think if I can surmise everything that we've spoken about tonight, it starts with self. One thing I teach my son when ever he comes back from school and says, yeah, but at least I didn't do so bad. Some other kid did worse than me. And then I always tell him, a bad leader looks out the window to point at somebody when something goes wrong. A good leader looks into the mirror. And I think all Africans, all people of Africa need to wake up, stand in front of the mirror and look honestly at yourself and go like, cool, what's my role in this?
Yeah.
And what can I do about it? Now, everybody can go, everybody, like you said earlier, every country, every person, everybody's been beaten down by something, some way, somewhere. It's all the same.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's about looking forward. We can't drive forward by looking in the rear view mirror.
Yep.
Okay. It's going to be a disaster. And if you look forward, look into the mirror, into yourself, and go like, what can I do today? And how by me changing do I change my children, and do I change the future of this continent? Because if once you become aware of, I can only give this world that which I have and I am, I need to shape up quite quickly. So I think personal responsibility and accountability is start, and that's where we can start again. And that's when we can start breaking barriers and talk. You know, the borders will not disappear.
No.
The big bullies won't disappear and everything else. The one thing that'll always be there is a lot of Africans with a lot of potential. And we only can unlock that potential when we start seeing each other. And that's the start. That's what I want to. That's my song for the day.
Wow. Guys.
Thank you.
Guys, I am very, very grateful for three of you. Okay. And I'm excited about the next sessions I'm going to have on this panel format. This was a very, very useful session. And I hope all my listeners and those who watch this on YouTube will gain one or two things from this session. Okay. Like Willem said, everything. And for me, everything to help change the future of Africa starts with self. And I believe that. Okay. And no amount of crying and pointing fingers to others can change anything. That's it. That's it for me. Right? Guys?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Well, bye-bye.
Live
Bye. Ooh.